You work, you get paid, you pay bills, you repeat. On the surface, that sounds fair, an honest exchange of time for money. The more hours you give, the more income you receive. That's the promise most of us grew up believing. But what if the salary system was never designed to make you wealthy, only stable enough to keep showing up? What if the paycheck itself is the mechanism that keeps you participating, productive, dependent, predictable? Every month, millions of people receive salaries that feel just large enough to survive, but rarely enough to escape. Raises barely outpace inflation. Promotions increase responsibility more than freedom, and despite technological progress and record productivity, many people feel financially stuck. This isn't about laziness or lack of ambition, it's about structure. To understand the salary trap, we have to examine how it was built. Before the Industrial Revolution, most people did not rely on wages. They owned tools, land, or small enterprises. Farmers cultivated their own crops. Craftsmen controlled production. Merchants traded goods they possessed. Income was uncertain, but ownership was common. Then industrialization shifted the balance of power. As factories expanded in places like United Kingdom and later United States, capital requirements increased. Machinery was expensive. Infrastructure centralized production, wealth concentrated into the hands of factory owners and industrialists. Instead of sharing ownership, businesses offered wages. Workers traded independence for steady income. At first, wages felt like progress. Regular paychecks seemed safer than unpredictable harvests or volatile trade. But this shift quietly altered the path to wealth. Ownership scales, wages do not. A factory owner benefits from rising output and expanding markets. A worker's income remains tied to hours worked. The economic system moved from widespread asset ownership to widespread wage dependency. The structure solidified further in the 20th century with the rise of central banking. In 1913, the Federal Reserve was established to stabilize financial crises and manage currency supply. Similar institutions operated globally. Intention was to reduce economic volatility, but monetary control introduced new dynamics. In 1971, under Richard Nixon, the United States ended the gold standard. The dollar was no longer backed by gold, but by government decree. This transition to fiat currency allowed the money supply to expand more freely. When money creation increases, prices tend to follow over time. Inflation became a constant background force. Salaries often rise slowly. Asset prices, fueled by liquidity, tend to rise faster. That gap between wage growth and monetary expansion gradually erodes purchasing power. You may earn more dollars, yet afford fewer assets. Debt intensified the dynamic. Modern banking systems lend multiples of their reserves, enabling credit expansion. Mortgages, student loans, auto loans, and credit cards became normal features of adult life. Stable salaries made borrowers attractive to lenders. If you have predictable income, you qualify for debt. Debt accelerates consumption and supports economic growth, but it also commits future labor to present purchases. The more debt households carry, the more essential, stable employment becomes. In effect, salaries become collateral for ongoing participation in the financial system. The system benefits from steady earners who borrow, consume, and repay with interest. By the late 20th century, productivity surged due to technology, globalization, and automation. Yet inflation-adjusted wage growth stagnated for many workers. Corporations expanded internationally, reduced costs, and optimized supply chains. Shareholders and asset holders benefited from scale and market expansion. Meanwhile, salary earners faced global competition and limited leverage. Housing costs rose significantly in many urban centers. Education expenses increased sharply. Healthcare costs climbed. To maintain living standards, households borrowed more. The breaking point arrived in 2008 when the housing bubble collapsed. Mortgage-backed securities imploded, triggering a global financial crisis. The event revealed how much growth had depended on debt expansion. When housing prices fell, paper wealth disappeared, but debts remained. Salaries did not increase to offset losses. Governments and central banks responded aggressively. Liquidity injections and near-zero interest rates stabilized markets. Asset prices recovered rapidly. Stock markets rebounded. Real estate regained momentum. yet wage growth remained comparatively slow. This pattern exposed a crucial asymmetry. Monetary stimulus tends to elevate asset values first. Those who own assets benefit early. Those who rely solely on salaries often experience delayed or minimal gains. As money supply expands, asset inflation can outpace income growth, widening wealth gaps. The system prioritizes stability of financial markets because market collapse threatens broader economic function. But that stabilization often reinforces asset concentration. Beyond economics, the salary trap has psychological dimensions. Predictable income creates comfort. Comfort reduces perceived urgency to pursue ownership or alternative income streams. Entrepreneurship carries risk. Asset accumulation requires delayed gratification and surplus capital. When most income is consumed by essentials, housing, food, transportation, insurance, debt servicing, little remains for meaningful investment. Inflation quietly erodes savings over time. Even retirement accounts, while beneficial, are typically tied to market performance shaped by institutional actors. Workers participate in the system, but do not control its direction. The structure rewards consistency and compliance more than autonomy. Attempts to reform the imbalance have produced temporary relief, but limited structural change. Minimum wage increases, stimulus payments, and tax credits offer short-term support. However, if money supply continues expanding and asset prices rise accordingly, purchasing power pressures persist. Stimulus can stimulate demand, which may contribute to price increases. Housing shortages combined with low interest rates can drive real estate inflation. Equity markets respond quickly to liquidity. Wages adjust more slowly, especially in competitive labor markets. The cause and effect cycle repeats. Crisis, liquidity injection, asset appreciation, cost of living increase, gradual wage adjustment. Each round reinforces dependency on income while distancing many from ownership. Today, global debt levels are historically high. Governments operate with persistent deficits. Central banks remain central to economic management. Young workers in many regions face housing costs that represent a larger percentage of income than previous generations encountered. Student loan burdens delay wealth accumulation milestones. At the same time, wealth tied to equities, real estate, and business ownership has expanded significantly. The divergence between capital growth and wage growth reflects structural incentives. Assets scale with monetary expansion. Salaries are negotiated within labor markets that adjust more gradually. The salary trap does not mean employment is futile. It means relying exclusively on wages in a debt-driven, inflationary environment may limit financial mobility. Income provides cash flow, but wealth typically arises from ownership of appreciating or income-generating assets. Inflation reshapes purchasing power over time, making static income less effective. Debt can accelerate opportunity when used strategically, but excessive reliance creates long-term obligations tied to continuous labor. The system depends on participation. Consumption fuels growth. Growth sustains debt structures. Stable salaries support both. 3 insights emerge clearly. First, income is not the same as wealth. Ownership produces leverage beyond time-based labor. Second, inflation matters more than most people realize. Even modest annual inflation compounds significantly over decades, eroding savings if returns do not exceed price increases. Third, debt creates interdependence between workers and financial institutions. While credit enables access to housing and education, it also anchors future labor commitments. The salary trap ultimately raises a broader question about the future. As automation advances and artificial intelligence reshapes labor markets, will stable salaried positions remain abundant? If asset ownership continues concentrating while income growth lags, what implications does that hold for economic mobility? The system is not collapsing overnight. It continues functioning, often efficiently. But it functions according to incentives that favor asset holders during monetary expansion. Understanding that structure allows individuals to rethink strategy, prioritize ownership where possible, and evaluate debt more critically. The paycheck itself is not the enemy. Ignorance of its limitations is. When you see how monetary policy, debt expansion, and asset inflation interact, you begin to recognize repeating patterns. The goal is not fear, but clarity. Because once you understand the architecture of the salary system, you can start making decisions with awareness rather than assumption. And awareness is a first step toward escaping any trap, especially one that feels comfortable.